What's up, everyone, and welcome to episode 216 of Two Amazon Sellers and a Microphone, brought to you by Solozo. And today, prepare for a lot of fun. This is going to be high energy. We're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff, wholesale, all kinds of selling on Amazon, and we've got the absolute master joining us. We are so stoked. This guy produces a ton of content. They got a killer business. We cannot wait to dive in. We got Eric Castellano from Amazon Lit joining us. What is up, Eric?
Fellas, good afternoon. Grateful to be here. Chris, Dustin, thanks for having me. Just hanging out, excited to kind of, kick some ideas around and just see where this thing goes.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be a ton of fun. Obviously, Chris and I, we come from the private label side. I know that you guys do, probably majority wholesale.
Yeah.
We can talk about all the things that you've got going on. Plus, you produce amazing content, and you guys have so much energy. I just a second ago, I went to your website and I saw your intro YouTube video where you guys are just screaming passion. I love it. It's so fun. But you're in your warehouse. You're not driving a Lamborghini like all the other ones out there. It's the real deal. So we can't wait to get into this. I know everyone listening is going to love to hear everything. But so thanks for joining us, man. We're super pumped. And I want to give you, before we jump anything, I want to give you the floor for just a few minutes, because I want, for everyone who doesn't know you, doesn't know Amazon Lit, we'd like to just talk about your personal journey, just how you got into this space, the partnerships you've created, the company that you have. Just give us a little bit. You got as much time as you want to start into your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Eric Castellano. I'm the founder of Amazon Lit, which was created about 4 years ago. But before I get into Amazon Lit, I think just starting off, kind of how I got into the Amazon game would be beneficial for a lot of people who are either just getting started or considering getting started. So 2013 was the year. I knew nothing about e-commerce, nothing about really business in general. And my business partner, who's actually in the office right next to me, Sebastian, he started selling products on Amazon. And I walked into his home and I saw all these products. At the time, he was doing what's called retail arbitrage. He was going to retail stores and buying inventory to resell for a profit. And I laughed in his face. I was like, bro, you're joking. I was like, there's no YouTube videos. There's no Instagram accounts, no Facebook. So it was completely new. And I laughed at him, and a couple weeks went by, and I saw us growing, and then a couple months went by, and it was still growing. And I was like, bro, what's up with a job? So initially I started as an employee packaging items, and then worked my way up to the COO of that business. And it was very tedious and a lot of a learning curve in the beginning. The success didn't happen overnight. We really didn't start making life-changing money till probably year 3, where we were really like, wow, this can change not only our lives, but our children's lives and our children's children's lives if we do this correctly. So we really honed down on our processes and built a very large team. I got about 50 employees now. They're operating right below me in our 20,000 square foot warehouse. And our main gig is wholesale. 90% of our sales come from buying large volumes of brand products that people trust and know already. You don't have to advertise for them, ship them from overseas. They're all sourced domestically. And that's kind of how we got our foot in the door.
I've got
so much. I know. I got so much shit. Like, I've been following these guys on Instagram, and they're very modest. Like, these guys are the real deal.
Yeah. Well, so what did you have a day job, corporate job, whatever?
Yeah.
When your partner was starting all this?
Yeah. So I was a full-time college student at the time. I was at NYU studying construction engineering. And I stepped away from that job, and I was also working part-time gigs doing construction, trying to gain experience in the industry that I was planning on going to. And lo and behold, a complete curveball came in, and I dropped all of that, even dropped out of school and went all in on Amazon. And then 2 or 3 years later, I actually went back, completed that degree just for really street credit. And I invested a lot of money into it. So I wanted to do it as an accomplishment, but I haven't used it since. But I was grateful for the opportunity to kind of participate in that,
Talk about the time you went from, because retail arbitrage is fairly simple to do. You just go out to the stores and find product, and if it sells for you should buy it, flip it, and you're just doing that stuff. But wholesale, totally different game. Talk about that transition from retail arb to wholesale.
Yeah, so the full transition took about 18 months. It did not happen overnight, which confused a lot of people. They think you're just going to make the switch from RA or OA or even private label to wholesale or wholesale to private label. Whatever switch you're making is going to take some time. So initially how it happened for us was Sebastian got an email. I don't even remember who it was from, but it was about a trade show. And we've never went to any trade shows. It was all the way across the country in San Francisco. And we're like, you know what? If we don't try, we don't know. We went to that trade show. We opened up our first wholesale account, and we went from, buying 500 items in an 8-hour day doing retail arbitrage to buying 5,000 items in 2 hours of putting together a wholesale order.
It's amazing. And so we talk about this all the time, and I'll intro this segue to this. But when people who are interested in starting Amazon, they come to us, or we're talking to friends, family, anybody. We always say, look, go to Walmart, go to clearance, get the scanner app, open up a Seller Central account, just get a couple of things, and you're gonna learn a ton about the process, because that process is going to be the way, whether you go private label or wholesale or whatever. That process of getting labels, putting them on, creating shipments, shipping it in, whatever you do, you need to know that ahead of time and learn that. So we always talk about that. And that's, and it's so interesting because I started private label. I did a little bit of that retail arbitrage, but I'm doing a lot of right now online arbitrage, which is similar to retail arbitrage.
And you notice he's got his pen in his hand. He's
got a pen in my hand.
He's going to take notes. This is class for him.
But I'm doing this where I'm like at a bigger scale of doing like online arbitrage, where I'm just touching a lot of products. I'm finding so many opportunities where I'm like, I could wholesale this product right now, and there's no reason why I shouldn't do that. So I'm so excited to keep digging in. So you said there was a long transition, 18 months. Were you guys constantly doing the retail arbitrage to help fund these wholesale orders?
Yes.
Is that the process?
Yeah, because retail arbitrage, we knew the process, we knew how it worked, and we knew how to make money doing it. So we couldn't just cut off RA. We had to continue to do that to keep the funds coming in, keep the feedback coming in, keep the inventory, keep the business moving, keep the employees busy. At the time, we only had maybe 2 or 3, but it's like we had to keep the wheel spinning. So the transition, first it was 90-10, 90% RA, 10% wholesale, then 80-20, 70-30. And it just kind of happened organically over the course of those 18 months.
Talk about getting a wholesale account is a lot difficult, I would say, now than it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. You mentioned the word Amazon. People were like, you're not doing it. Yeah. So what are wholesalers looking for? Like, what do they want when somebody comes to them to say, hey, I want to open up a wholesale account?
They want your money at the end of the day. They want your money. And I think there's a huge disconnect there, because people are looking for those 20-25% margins immediately. And they don't really understand that. Listen, you might need to take a 5 or 8% margin to get your foot in the door, place a couple orders, build a rapport with these companies, and then you could go in requesting to get the 20-25% margins. But most companies, if you're looking for 20-25% margins off the bat, you'll never open up any wholesale accounts.
Yeah. How are you getting these? Like, when you reach out to wholesalers, how are you finding these distributors or wholesalers?
Yeah, so we use a few different methods. The first would be your basic keyword Google search, which majority of people are doing. So, I would start like grocery distributors in New Jersey, because that's where I am, or personal care distributors, New Jersey. And then I expand that reach, because it's just easier for cost of shipping and the relationship the closer they are to you. Because across the country shipping, if I'm in New Jersey and I'm getting a shipment from Washington State, the shipping's going to be very high, and that's going to cut into my margins. Something else we do is we keep our eyes out on the road. I got 50 employees. Even if it's just you can tell your family, hey, if you see a truck with a name on it, snap a picture and send it to me.
I love it.
That's fucking awesome.
That is so cool.
That's so cool. That's like, that's old school style, like just keep your eyes open, right? You might find an opportunity.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the rejection from a wholesaler? Like, let's say you go to a wholesaler, you're like, hey, we want to hope up with you. We want to sell on Amazon, and they immediately shut you down. What's your comeback?
Yeah, I always ask why. I want to know why, and I document all the information. We have a Google Doc that we share with our team, and it has every supplier we've ever reached out to. And I want to know why. Is it because you're already working with multiple third-party sellers? Do you have MAP pricing that those sellers are violating? Are you working exclusively with Amazon? Are you working exclusively with only one third-party seller? Have you just had a very poor experience? Do you not care about your management on Amazon? So based on that, I'll call them back in 30 days and touch base and be like, hey, last time we spoke, you're working with 3 sellers. I noticed there's 2. A spot open up for me. What's up? Let's talk about it.
Persistence.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Persistence is the key, right?
100%. 100%.
I want to talk real quick before we dive into like a lot of the processes and stuff, but wholesale operates typically on a much thinner margin than like a private label brand or something like that. I mean, so it's a volume play. You're trying to get as much sales as possible, but what kind of margins are we talking about? Are you talking like a 5 to 8% margin on average, or what are you like? What is the average?
Yeah, so our business operates at a very healthy 19% margin.
Oh, yeah.
We ended 2021 at a 20.5% margin. So it's going down a little bit, and that's just because the changes in the FBA fees and the new 5% referral increase that's happening. So it ebbs and flows. I think a healthy wholesale business, anything greater than 15%, you're doing well.
And that would be the same for retail arbitrage or...
Yeah. I think it's pretty much the same requirements. I know a lot of sellers, they like to shoot for super high margins. I'm a high volume guy.
And okay, so when you're starting, what's the process that you go through? Are you first just trying to find distributors anywhere and then see what they sell and then see if it's going to work for you? Or are you starting on Amazon, finding opportunities there and then trying to find the distributor to work with, which or both?
So we're focusing on the first method. The first method, it's already sourcing products that you have access to, opposed to finding sources to get the products that you don't have access to. So I'm a firm believer. I always like to just work off the catalogs that I have already, especially if you're newer, because when you're newer, you'll have 50 tabs saved looking for all these products, but the chances of finding them at a good price from a wholesaler is very slim.
So finding the wholesaler is the key.
Yeah, finding the wholesaler. And I suggest anybody just getting started, you should be reaching out to 50 wholesalers a week initially, because you'll get about a 5% open rate. So it's very low.
What's that process look like? Is it, 50 wholesalers sounds taunting, but what are you doing? Is it email? Is it phone call? Is it visiting? What's the strategy?
Yeah. So let's say I wanted to find 50 suppliers today. This week, I'd spend Monday just finding the 50 suppliers and documenting their information. I wouldn't call any of them, because when you find one, call them, and it interrupts the workflow and the process of really being efficient. So I'd find all 50. Next day, Tuesday, I'd probably email and call all 50 of them. And then based on who didn't respond, I'd use Wednesday and Thursday to go back through and follow up. And by Friday, most of them would have either got back to me or completely ignored me. And then I would treat the following week to either go through the catalogs I received or answer any questions they had in those emails.
What are some of the easy things they need? Like a resale certificate, you have to have an LLC. Like, what are some things that if a guy's trying or a girl's trying to be a seller and if someone wants to be a seller on Amazon, you got to get these things done first, because when you try to open an account, they're going to want this stuff.
Yeah. So the wholesalers are going to want an EIN number, which you'll get when you register an LLC in most states automatically. Some have the additional step where you need to register the LLC and then get the EIN separately. But that's really all you need to get started. You don't need a warehouse. You can do it right out of your home to start. So you just need that EIN.
How do you guys deal with growth? With growing comes a lot of capital and a lot of money to spend. What's your method there to continue to scale up a business like this?
Yeah. So I'll just give you the method we use directly. I think that would be of most help. So we started with an initial $4,000 investment for inventory, and we just reinvested that for a couple weeks, couple months. And then we opened up some lines of credit. I think really optimizing your credit and purchasing with, for example, the Plum card, MasterCard Plum card, it has a 60-day grace period. So you could buy inventory today and not have to pay for it for 60 days. So you're already making money off of it before you're even paying for it. That's revolutionary. And then we went the Amazon lending route. Amazon initially offered us maybe $20,000. Then it went to 50, 100. And by the end of our Amazon lending term, when we stopped using them, they were giving us $1 million 3 times a year at about a 7 or 8% interest rate, which was cool with us because we didn't have the money. So if we're bringing in 16, we're paying 8. We're still getting 8% off of that, and I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think I love this aspect of it too. Is the benefits? I mean, the amount of credit cards, 0% interest. The cards that you're talking about, the travel points, hotel points, all the stuff that's building up is a side benefit. I think the people that do this really well, they focus on that side a lot too. Like, what's the best way for us to get capital, and what other benefits can we get from that capital?
Yeah.
I love
100%. And then something that I wish I did early on was buy the warehouse that I'm operating in instead of renting it, because then you're building equity and property, which is huge, when you're using it anyway. And it's like, if you're in a position where that's possible, then that's the move to go, because then you're not only building your business, but you're also building real estate as well.
Can we
Let's
talk
break
about
that down?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you went from storing stuff in Sebastian's house and probably extra rooms, and then you outsourced to a warehouse?
No. So about 9 months in, we realized when we walked in his basement, you were jumping over boxes, you couldn't move anything. It was very inefficient. So we went on LoopNet and looked for a warehouse space local. At the time, Sebastian didn't even have a car. He was so broke. So we found a warehouse about a half mile from his house, and he worked there every day. It was about 1,000 square feet. And we started getting all the products shipped to there and processing them there.
I want to ask a question about that. Because a lot of times I've heard wholesalers, they want to ship to a warehouse or a business location, not necessarily a house. Did you find that as a bottleneck early on when you didn't have that, or were they willing to ship it wherever?
So no, absolutely, that's going to be a bottleneck. It's definitely going to limit your wholesaler opportunity if you're in a residential area, because a lot of these places, they only ship to commercial or industrial areas. So that could limit your growth. We didn't really have any issues with that because when we were in the house, we weren't doing any wholesale orders yet. It was just all retail arbitrage.
Amazing.
There's so much stuff I want to ask, not just about Amazon, but like just being a business owner, right? Like you no longer, it's not just like flipping stuff on Amazon. You got like employees you got to take care of now and making sure that their lives are good.
Yes.
You got a warehouse, you got to worry about, things inside, what's going on. So that transition of being like a, 2-man team to get in a warehouse, what have you learned through that transition? Like with getting employees and whatnot?
Oh man, I've learned so much about just patience and kindness, especially. And I think understanding that, these are not just people or these are not just employees. Like these are human beings. These are people who have families and kids and grandmothers and girlfriends and husbands. Like, so being able to make sure that they not only have the full 40-hour work week available to them, but we also offer them like health benefits and like learning all these things along the way and building the morale, like weekend parties, quarterly goals, incentivizing them. Like I didn't know any of that. It just kind of organically happened. And we made a lot of mistakes initially, but now we treat our team like family, because really they are. I spend more time with my employees than I do with my own family,
It's amazing.
So cool. I mean, like this is like just a overall good picture. Like you started small, you've got a warehouse, you got a team now, you scale this up. I'm sure you got brands coming to you saying, hey, let me be a part of this operation you got going on, because it's no longer small scale. You're operating big. Give me an idea. How many units do you sell a day on Amazon?
On a day, about 8,000.
Good grief. Good grief.
It's amazing. Do you ever just feel like sometimes
What the hell am I doing?
sitting there and like refreshing your app or whatever and just be like, I cannot believe this.
Yeah. Yeah. It usually happens for me right around 1 a.m. because we're East Coast. The Amazon day ends at 3 a.m. on the East Coast because it's Pacific time. So usually 1 a.m. I'll swipe and I'll be like, just wait, like $180,000 in a day. I'm like, I can't even believe this. Like, how did this even happen? And it's growing. It's mind blowing sometimes. Sometimes I have to pinch myself and recognize what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, some of your employees gotta be like, man, I can do this, right? Like they think, man, I could do like I would be that guy. Like, man, I could probably figure this out. How do you battle that?
I would encourage them to. Absolutely. If one of my employees walked in right now to my office and said, hey, Eric, I'm giving you my 2 weeks. I'm going to build my own Amazon business. I'd say, absolutely, please go for it. And if you need any help, let me know, because I never want to stunt someone's growth because they work for me. If they want an opportunity that's better than what they have here, please go for it. I'll support you along that journey.
Yeah,
Great
that's amazing. I mean, that's like I don't know, Gary Vaynerchuk. He says that all the time. You know, it's like the empathy for your employees, and if the guy wants to come in and quit, he's the happiest person for them.
Yes.
And I think that there's a lot to be said. I mean, clearly you've got a good culture going there. You guys done, amazing in developing all of that out. I just can't. I feel like I wish my sales were 8,000 units a day or whatever,
nuts.
Whatever it is. But, every time I still get that same feeling, like the feeling of making that first sale on Amazon. And you're like, this is a business. This could really, really work.
Yeah.
And then every day you kind of have that same, it's like, it's so enjoyable to see that like, this is actually working. This is amazing. So let's talk now. You guys are clearly in a different place than when you started. You've got the experience, you've got the infrastructure, the setup, everything is moving in the right direction. When you're looking at deals, because this would be something for me that I would feel like it's challenging because you've got so many opportunities. There's millions of products, but you have X amount of cash and you want that cash to multiply as fast as possible.
Yes.
So it's how you're allocating it. So what are you looking for in a deal? Okay. So you've got this product in this catalog and you're like, okay, we're going to either go with this or not go with this, but what is like a ideal point for you? Like a certain BSR, a certain number of competing sellers. What is it that you're looking for?
Yeah. So first thing I'm looking for is profit. Is the item profitable? Because if it's not profitable, I don't even want to look at it. If it's not making me money based on the Amazon landscape, it's not worth it to even click on it and dive deeper into it. So first thing's profit. For us, we go as low as $2 minimum profit. I'll even go as low as $150 if it's moving a lot of volume. Like I just printed out these SKUs. This is one product. It's like it's eight.
For those of you listening, it's not one sheet of paper. It's
like that. Did that come on one roll? How big was that roll?
No, so this is actually a product we have transparency protected. It sells like 6,000 units a month. It's crazy. So it's like as long as the profit, but the profit's not huge, but the volume is there. So first thing's profit. Second thing is BSR, which varies on categories. Something like baby or patio or outdoor sports. I'm really not going above 70, 80,000 BSR, but categories like grocery, health and personal, beauty, I'll go all the way up to 300,000 because what happens is a lot of times there's a product ranked 300,000 that I'm making $25 on. I don't want to make $25 on it. I want to make $7. So I'm going to drop the price $17 and bring that listing back to life. So now I could start getting the BSR lower, generating more sales. And the last thing I'm checking, or the last two things, keep a chart, make sure there's no crazy price drops or any IP complaints on that third keep a chart. And then the last thing is the competitive sellers. Who is buy box competitive and how much inventory do they have? Because if they have 5,000 units and the listing's only selling 500 a month, they technically have 10 months of inventory. I can't compete with that. They control the price on that listing.
So
with an operation this big, you got to have some buyers, right? Like you got buyers, like people that buy product for you. How do you scale that up? Like, because what you do may be something different than maybe what Sebastian was probably doing. Like, so how do you get that nice and organized?
Yeah, so we do have 3 buyers. They're very efficient. They purchase about $160,000 worth of inventory a week, each of them. And I've trained every buyer that works here, and we create a team, and they all sit right next to each other, and we have weekly meetings. So I love that I buy different than Sebastian, and our buyer Amina buys different than our buyer Mac, and Lily buys different than Sammy. I love it because you get all these different perspectives. And someone who might pass on a product, they just turn around. Hey, Sammy, what would you get this? It's like, yeah, actually, let's get this because I see this, this, and this.
Awesome. Interesting. Yeah. That is important because I'm looking at one-man show on this online arbitrage, and I'm passing up stuff and selecting what I want. I'm always in the back of my mind. I'm like, I wonder if that would have been a hit. It's awesome. Okay, so that huge roll of labels you got over there, that product, something like that where you're selling 8,000 units a month or whatever it was, do you have like an exclusive arrangement for that kind of a product?
For this specific brand we do, but we do have some SKUs, not SKUs that are selling 6,000 a month, but we do have some SKUs that move 1,100 units a month that we don't have exclusivity with. But to hit those numbers, you got to do exclusive relationship and build the relationship with the brand.
And is that a goal for you guys to get as many of those as possible, or is that an easier deal than a volume game with tons of SKUs that you don't have exclusivity for?
I don't know if it's definitely more lucrative, but I don't think it's easier. So it's very similar to like private label, where people start attacking your listings, because they're like, oh, I used to sell on this. And then you get a couple negative reviews and Amazon removes it. And then you got to challenge it. So like, for example, this product was just removed for 7 days. That's almost 10 grand of inventory that we didn't sell in those 7 days. So like if that listing was to go out of or get removed forever, that could be a potential huge hit for us. You're talking, we have $30,000-$40,000 of inventory in Amazon. So the brand exclusives are more lucrative, more profitable, but you definitely need someone to manage them and keep their eye on the listings for any mishaps that may happen.
Well, that turns it into it is exactly right. I mean, it basically is a private label product in that point. I mean, I'm assuming on those, you're trying to optimize the listing. You're probably running advertising to try to improve the rank. So you become sort of the brand owner on Amazon for that product. So did you have to create that part of your team that does listings and advertising and all that stuff as well?
So I actually, this is going to blow your guys' mind. Right now we have like 3 or 4 brand direct deals, and I manage all of them. So, I'm putting together the orders. I'm not creating the listings from scratch. I'm like getting the images made, and I'm adding the information to the listings. But that's something that now I'm like, all right, it's time to get this in-sourced or outsourced, because my time, I could be doing something more valuable with it.
I know you got questions, Chris. Sorry.
It's a race, right?
Yeah. So I want to keep talking about this exclusive setup that you got. I want to know, like, what was your approach to the business to set that up? And I'm assuming you're coming at them with a win-win scenario where you're saying, hey, you're either not selling this on Amazon and you got all these people misrepresenting your product and all kinds of stuff. And I can take this over and make you shine on Amazon and generate more sales for you. I mean, how do you set up an arrangement like that?
Yeah, so it's all about the value we're providing as third-party sellers. So I'd like to point out that not one exclusive relationship that we've obtained has happened in less than a year. So what usually happens, like with this company, I met them 4 years ago, and the guy kept telling me no. For 2 whole years, he told me no. I saw him at every trade show I went to, saw him 8 times a year, and I would go to his booth, and he told me no every time. And then he finally called me. He said, Eric, I'm ready to move forward. So being persistent. And then also for the first 3 months we managed that product, I spent $3,000 a month on ads. I didn't want any money from them. I wanted them to be like, listen, these guys are committed to growing our brand. And now they give us $4,500 a month for ads. And I haven't paid for any of their ads in a very long time.
Oh my goodness. That's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
It is. And then obviously, because you did that, you were ordering much, much larger quantities of their product. And they had that sales channel for them really ramped up.
Yeah.
Is there a sweet spot on the product or how they're in the marketplace already that you're looking for to present that deal? I mean, I'm thinking of like if there was I don't know, a local person who was doing like soap or something like that, and they're like a boutique seller and they have no idea about, and I'm like, I could take your product to the world. Does that sound good? What's the sweet spot for you on pursuing deals like that?
Yeah, so the sweet spot for us is definitely an Amazon presence that exists already.
Okay.
With a lot of confusion. So multiple sellers, varied price points, terrible images, poor bullet points, all of that is the sweet spot. From my experience, I barely take on any new brands to the market because building them out is very challenging. And I'm personally other than our private label brands, I'm yet to take a brand that's reached out to me that has no presence in any big box or retail stores, no presence on Amazon, and I'm yet to be able to build their business to the level that's worth it for us.
Makes sense.
With as many products as you see, there's got to be opportunities, and we touched on this a little bit. Now, if you're selling XYZ SKU in the blue color, you go to that supplier and be like, hey, we want to do the same SKU, but give me the yellow color because we see that people are wanting to buy the yellow color. Are those opportunities there where you can be like, I want to be the exclusive private label of this brand, or even better, let me sell the blue one, but let me just put my own brand name on it, and now we got two different listings happening. Are those type of opportunities there, and how do you take advantage of those?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a huge value add to the brand. It's like, listen, your blue variation's doing amazing. You don't even got the yellow. Let's add the yellow. I'll take care of everything, and then you're going to be capitalizing on the sales. And you can even take it one step further and do what we call wholesale bundles, where you register a trademark. So let's say Chris and Dustin products, and you actually add like an additional add-on, whether it's a loofah, if it's a shampoo, or a toothbrush holder, if it's a toothbrush, and it's branded with your logo on it. And that kind of eliminates the opportunity for other sellers to jump on it. So pitching all these things to the brand, depending on where they are in their business, one of them might just jump in their ear and be like, wow, that's genius. Let's try it.
Another thing. Okay. So this is what I'm finding a lot, with a lot of some of my more successful products via online arbitrage is bundling them and making them multi-packs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering what the strategy is on wholesale. So let's say it's something from the grocery, whatever. It's a pack of rice, let's say, whatever. Okay. And so there's a listing on Amazon, but you can create a child variation where it's a 2-pack, a 4-pack, and a 6-pack. Is that something that you guys do frequently in order to gain more market share? And also you could get more profit out of each sale.
Yeah, absolutely. We're running the numbers. If the 2-pack exists already or the 1-pack, we're running the numbers in multiples and seeing, hey, maybe the 3-pack or the 4-pack would be profitable. And absolutely, we're creating those listings and throwing a little ad spend at them. Very little ad spend. I'm talking $10 a day could get a brand name product, very low BSR in a week, if not less, because they're already searching for the company on Amazon.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if you created if it's Uncle Ben's rice, and it's a 12-pack, it's not going to be very expensive to get that to move up the rankings.
No, but sometimes you will run into an issue where you get either a copyright claim or an intellectual property complaint. So about 40% of those listings we create, within a few months, they are removed from Amazon. But the 60% that stay and last for a lifetime are well worth the 40% that don't.
How do you deal with the bad buy? Something make a bad buy and it just doesn't take off like you did, and you got thousands of units going on? What's the play to get rid of a product and get some capital back?
Yeah. So first move is I'm checking the landscape of Keepa and seeing like maybe there's a seller on there that's dominating. And as soon as they sell out, I'll be back in the buy box. So before I make a decision to liquidate or remove from Amazon, I'm making sure that this is the last ditch effort. There's no possibility of dropping a price or manipulating it or waiting to get those sales. Second thing I'm doing is I have no problem taking a loss on a product. Absolutely no problem. I know when to cut my losses. Let's say I spent $10 on the product. I'll even lose 3 or 4 through Amazon just so I don't have to get it shipped back to us and deal with it at our own warehouse or donate it, which we do a lot of donations for food items. But like that's like the last ditch effort. Donations, flea markets, liquidations. First is I'd rather just drop the price, get the money back.
Yeah, I saw on maybe about a year and a half ago, you guys were hitting up flea markets on the weekends.
Yeah.
Had a booth there selling stuff. What's that to do? Just to get rid of the bad stuff and just move on?
Yeah, it's all the returns. It's all the returns. Anything from 15 to 90 days of expiration date, and then it's also anything that has a slightly damaged box. So we'll get maybe 75% of the cost of goods back. But it's fun. We meet a bunch of companies who end up buying wholesale from us too. So we build relationships. I just love interacting with the customer. You learn a lot about the market and what the culture is looking for, which is huge.
I gotta ask you. You brought up expiration date. This is a personal question because I don't know. When you're sending it in, you got to put that expiration date in there.
Yeah.
Like at least half of the products that I'm trying to send in sometimes that Amazon's requiring an expiration date. They don't have an expiration date on the bottle. It's like shampoo or something. And what do you do there?
We do 3 years from today.
Okay.
3 years from today. It's just very straightforward. Amazon has, I think it's in their terms of service, it's like 22 months or whatever it is. But instead of doing some crazy calculation, I just tell my team literally 3 years from today at it. We've never had any issues.
What are some issues you've had with your account? I mean, gosh, I get freaked out when I get an email from Amazon, but I'm assuming, how much volume you're doing. An email from Amazon is probably nothing. You're probably used to it.
Yeah. We've been suspended before twice, which was very, very eye-opening for us. And scary as well. Our account health, because it's ratios. If you just looked at our account health and didn't know the numbers we did, you'd be like, how are these guys not suspended?
I freak out when I have one number. I'm sure it's
yeah, that's right.
I got like, it's ridiculous. The numbers are double digits for a lot of those categories. But it's a ratio, so it's based on volume. So it's no different than someone having one IP complaint who only sold 100 orders versus us having, maybe 2 IP complaints, but we're selling hundreds of orders.
You guys do any merchant fulfilled?
No, we stopped doing merchant fulfilled right in the middle of COVID. Very lucrative, made a lot of money during COVID. But it's just, we find that FBA is so profitable right now that we took our 4 employee staff off of FBM and created a whole new production station to leverage more into FBA.
Give me the process of when you buy. So give me the start to finish. You buy it from a wholesaler, product shows up at your door. What happens next?
Yeah. So product shows up at the door. One of our warehouse team members will put it in what we call our receiving area. So we know everything that's in that area has just been received. And then from receiving, they break it down to invoice it to make sure there's no discrepancies, damages, products that expired. That report is sent to the buyer that put the order together, and they're communicating the discrepancies with the company. So we're getting refunds or credits, and we're not missing out money there. Those items are then added to an Amazon shipment. And then our pickers go and they stage those items next to the production station. So they know this, and this is on this pallet. We're going to bring this pallet, put it in front of the production station. And then we have 5 employees at a production station. They produce it just like the same way McDonald's produce a Big Mac. They pass it along through the different stages. And then it gets put on a pallet, wrapped. The warehouse staff, the pickers, will then put it in our shipping area. And from shipping, it gets loaded onto a truck. And that process in our warehouse happens 6 days a week for about 12 hours a day.
On that Amazon shipment, is that Amazon shipment created before the items show up, after the buyer makes the purchase, or is it created after they receive everything in?
Yeah, it's created after they receive everything in to account for any damages or shortages or expired goods.
So these are case packed items, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Got it.
Case packed. But we send them all individual. When you're selecting case pack versus individual, we're sending them individual. We receive them as case pack.
I gotcha. Because that way you're trying to maximize the space in the boxes.
Yes. Yeah.
So is there a little bit of a bottleneck there on the shipment creation?
No. So there is a bottleneck, but we've built some softwares internally to eliminate that, incorporated 2D barcodes, which there's a ton of softwares now that offer them. Wizard Industries, 2D barcode or 2D workflow, I think is another one. So those eliminate the process of like box content information and just the kind of what you're talking about, Chris.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like, so if somebody's scanning it, that also is probably creating a shipment because they're scanning the barcode. So you're receiving it and you're creating a shipment in Amazon. So it's kind of doing two things at once.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
It's so fun. This is like everything that I'm doing at a monster scale. It's just so fun to hear.
Keep the hustle up, right?
Don't stop.
Keep the hustle going. It's okay. I got another question for you because this comes up. This happened to me. I'll find a product, I source it, I ship it in, it gets there, and then I'm going in just looking through my list, looking through my Seller Central, and it'll be like it's search suppressed. And I'm like, oh no. So I go to click search suppressed. Why is it search suppressed? And they're like, it's missing some data, but it won't let me put it in.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the brand owner.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, well, do I get these removed, or how do I get the permission to update that?
So what we would do is create a quick case with Amazon, whether it's an email case or a phone call, and we would try to troubleshoot the problems with them. But you're absolutely right. There will be some instances where they cannot update the image or the listing. You cannot update it. So it'll just remain suppressed. And at that point, it's just like you got to drop the price, because if it's suppressed, people aren't finding it, but it will pop up, because if you searched it in Google, it will populate. So if you search like Uncle Ben's, it's suppressed on Amazon, that listing would pop up at Google, but not on Amazon.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Are you only in the US marketplace, or what other marketplaces do you guys sell in?
So we do sell in the UK. We recently shut off Canada and Mexico, so just US and UK.
Was there a reason for shutting those off?
Yeah, because what we were doing was we had cross listings. So it was like every item we created in the US was getting listed through NARF in Canada and Mexico. But come to find out, the US, Canada, and Mexico all have different restrictions at the products you could sell. So we were getting IP complaints in one country, not in the other, copyright claims in one country, not in the other. And it was a nightmare.
Yeah,
so we just decided to turn those two off.
What's UK look like percentage wise? Like how is that scaling up? Do you have a whole different warehouse over there, or what's that look like?
No, so we just sent our first, container over maybe 4 or 5 months ago. The cost of shipping now was ridiculous, so I probably won't send another container until I can.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but that again, to me, seems like a whole nother opportunity. Hopefully, logistics gets better, and we can start shipping stuff around a lot cheaper. But I mean, how many, American-made products or whatever, could be sold over there that just that aren't at all.
Well, think about it. Think about like the UK European brands that maybe want to come over and here in the States and sell. They've now got a connection there.
Yeah,
that'd be nice. How'd you come up with the name Amazon Lit?
So Sebastian and I, we were in this office right next to me. It was like a Friday night at maybe 2 a.m. I'm a late guy. Sebastian's a late guy. And I saw my first YouTube ad for an Amazon training. This was maybe 2018. Never saw one before. Clicked on it. It was $3,000. Bought it immediately. Within 5 minutes, I was like, I can't even believe this guy's charging money for this. It's so inaccurate. I was very disappointed. And in that second, we said, we need to create a business that we can teach people how to do what we do correctly. And we're like, what are we going to call it? And we threw some names at the wall, and he's like, listen, people say lit all the time. It's like a trend. Let's just call it Amazon Lit. And we're like, sure. We registered the business that night, and here we are,
So do you guys do like training and help, like, like courses, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So in 2018, we started doing one-on-one mentoring. I've taken probably over 1,500 one-on-one calls with sellers. So I learned a lot about their pain points. And from that, we designed our training course, eSellers RI. And then we have another step up, which is called our Inner Circle, where we focus really working with 7- and 8-figure Amazon earners. And it's a more inclusive annual mentorship with visits to their warehouse and live events. It's for the people who are like, I don't need to just learn how to do better in my Amazon business. I need to change my mindset. I need to be a better person, a better family man, a better business owner. So it's like, it's for that next level of success.
I got a question on that. Because when Chris and I started this podcast, we admit we didn't network enough. We didn't do a lot of the things to help really build a community around us. And since we've started this, and since we're talking to experts in the space, I feel like I have resources and knowledge and everything that I never would have had access to. And it's opened up so many different opportunities. Like when you're doing those one-on-one calls and now in your mastermind group, do you learn a lot yourself all the time?
I've learned so much. I honestly think the thing that I've learned the most from is our private Facebook community, because I got almost 700 wholesale businesses in there asking questions, helping each other. Sometimes someone brings something up. I'm like, how have I never thought of that? That is genius.
It's so fun. We think that every day. We're like, it's amazing. That, just having access to the knowledge and the sharing and all. So you started this business where you're helping sellers. Do you get a lot of fulfillment out of that personally, that you're able to see other people succeed?
Yeah, 100%. I came from a very troubled past, littered with drug addiction and alcoholism. And for years, almost a full decade, I was a completely different person. And what I did was I met this guy, Rob, and he completely changed my life. He took me under his wing when I had not a penny to my name. I was living out of my car, and he taught me how to live life. And then Sebastian took me under his wing and taught me how to build a business. So out of gratitude for those two people, I will forever give back to the community as much as possible.
Man, that gives me chills. That was good stuff.
It's amazing.
How's the shiny, the new girlfriend here is Walmart. How's Walmart looking?
Yeah, so we don't do any selling on Walmart. There's definitely a lot of opportunity. The margins are pretty much the same as Amazon, but you'll see that the SKUs that are selling very well are completely different. It's mind-blowing. It's like, a product on Amazon that's moving 30 a month, on Walmart it's selling 400 or 500. So it creates opportunity that just didn't really exist.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess it's just a totally different shopper.
Yeah, it is a different shopper.
Yeah,
it's a different shopper. Yeah, did you guys see the first Walmart with a drone delivery started? It was like 10 days ago. The lady got it dropped off in her backyard.
That's a game changer.
They're coming after it. Yeah, they're coming after it.
That's crazy.
So will that be a play? Will Walmart be a play for you guys at some point in the future?
I don't see it in the near future, only because at the end of the day, Walmart's 15 years behind Amazon. The only way I would make it a play is if they took whatever their 4,000 stores, 3,500, or whatever amount of stores they got, and they sectioned off a piece of them for fulfillment centers that I could ship to a little more locally. Then I would consider it, because it makes logistics make a little more sense. But right now, I'm personally not looking into it or investigating it or going in any further.
That's got to be down the road for them. They have to be thinking that. I've actually seen my local Walmart. It's shrinking a little bit. They're pulling that back wall forward. So I don't know what they're, there's a lot more going on back there, but oh my gosh, I feel like we could talk to you for hours and hours.
Yeah.
But I know people are listening right now, and they would love to work with you, start watching your courses, get into some of the training. Where do they need to go? What do they need to do to help start their business?
Yeah, so best place would just go to Instagram or YouTube. You know, all of our links and everything are there. I think Instagram's the best place because then you get to build a rapport with people. You know, I don't want people to just be like, "Oh, this guy's doing really well." Like, make sure you understand the people you're investing in, and this goes for any business and anybody listening. Like, do your research on someone before you go giving them any money. And I encourage you to do your research on me because I'm the real deal, and I'd love to help you grow your business.
Your content's great too. So anyone who follows you guys on Instagram, they're gonna be entertained. They're gonna learn a lot. You give a lot of value just through that, and you can tell you're authentic. You know, it's like
and motivating,
motivating, authentic. You're not blowing smoke. You're not promising the moon. You know, it is work. You go to work every single day. You've got employees. You've got a warehouse. It's work. You probably work harder than anybody who's working a 9 to 5, getting a salary.
Yeah,
but
it's definitely work. It's
definitely rewarding.
It's not overnight success. It's not passive income. But I promise anybody who takes the action and commits themselves to doing it, the way I like to see it is commit for 1 year. You know, if you don't like it in a year, always go back to being a bartender, you know, being a taxi driver, a teacher, whatever you were, that will be there. But if you don't try something new, you'll never know what opportunity you could have missed out on.
I love it, man. Eric, thanks so much for coming and talking to us. We've had a blast.
Yeah. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Let me know when you want to do round 2.
Oh yeah. We'll in 3 and 4.
Whenever I need a kick in the tail.
Yeah. We'll be hitting you up 100%. But thanks again. We really enjoyed it. Everyone go to amazonlit.com. Find Eric on Instagram. Find Amazon Lit on Instagram. You'll see all the content. Reach out to them if you want to work with them, and start your own business. You got to give it a go. So, all right. Well, thanks so much, and thanks everybody for tuning in. If you like content like this, make sure you subscribe to our podcast. Make sure that you go to Solozo's social media channels, LinkedIn, YouTube. All the live streams are there. Subscribe to those. Turn on notifications so you get notified when we go live. We do it all the time. We're putting out these multiple times a day in many cases. So make sure you're getting to see all that. That way you can hear amazing people like Eric tell their story and give tactics. Additionally, if you're currently selling on Amazon, whichever way you sell, private label, wholesale, you got some exclusive deals and you need to advertise, that's where Solozo can help you out. Chris and I can show you how Solozo's platform can fully automate and optimize your advertising to take that workload off. So go to Solozo.com, schedule a demo. You'll be talking to one of us really soon. All right, everybody, that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in.